Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. I'm really nervous to make this video, and I don't even know why. It's a very kind of cringe-worthy video, but I kind of wanted to do something different on here. I am going to read a meditation because I love reading the meditations. I love talking about them, and I found one. It's actually, I think, for tomorrow that kind of ties into what I'm talking about today, but I have a cabinet over there that if you watch my vlogs, it's like this tall armoire kind of thing. And in there I have a lot of journals. I have my journals, I have my mom's journals, and from time to time I just pull them out and I look at them. And one of the journals that I have is actually a journal from a creative writing class that I took in high school. And it's so corny when I'm reading through this. And I don't know, like my perception of who I was at the time and looking back on it. But I thought it would be kind of interesting to read some of these journal entries. Especially what I want to do is I want to read the very first one that is dated August 24th. So this is August 24th of my senior year. And then the journal ends on January 15th, because I only took a class for a semester, and one of the things that she had us do is that we had to write in there, I think it was like twice a week or something like that, and sometimes she gave us topics and sometimes she didn't. So I wanted to read to you guys to kind of just show like how we change over time, but in some ways how we don't change over time too. And you know, it's interesting because as I was writing this, I knew that the teacher was gonna read it, you know, and we also like, I think there were times that we had to like have somebody else read our journal entry and stuff. So you can really tell when you're reading it, like that I was trying to be somebody else. Like J.D. Salinger. But anyway, so I want to read a couple of these to you because it's interesting at the end of the journal, and then I had personal journals too, and I may choose to read some of those sometime, but they are highly unedited. They talk about all the troubles that I got into, all the crushes that I had, and stuff like that. And what's interesting about my personal journals versus this journal is that in this journal, there's several references to wanting a girlfriend, which I did have a girlfriend in high school. She is now an out lesbian and has been with her partner for 20 plus years and has adopted a child. And I think we kind of indirectly found each other because we were going through something similar, but we never talked about it at the time. We didn't talk about it till we were both in college and had been out. But publicly, I wasn't out in high school, and I was terrified of that. And so, you know, it's interesting that in here I reference wanting to have a girlfriend and all this kind of stuff. In my personal journals, it's a little bit different. It's about crushes that I had and things like that. And because my mother was so, you know, into journal writing and things like that, there was only one time, and it was because I left my journal on the kitchen counter, that she ever went in and read my journals. Other than that, she never, like, would touch my journals. And so that was like only one time, and she went in there and she actually like highlighted stuff that I had said about my friend and I, and like some trouble that we had gotten into. So don't ever leave your journal on your kitchen table. But anyway, so I want to read a couple of these entries because they're kind of funny. So Thursday, August 24th, this is the very first journal entry. Just strap yourself in. I have decided not to name this journal. It is not that I am creative or imaginative. It's just that I'm a very logical person. So it is odd to me to put Dear Diary or Dear Max. That is what I would call my journal. When I did name it, or if I did name it, it really didn't work. So, wait. It really doesn't work. So instead, I am writing to you, the person who is just there. Like when Holden Caulfield narrates his own story in The Catcher in the Rye. This will be like a narration. Who knows, maybe someday I'll be famous and this will be published. Maybe it will have some really phony title, like, get the phony reference from Catcher in the Rye. Okay, I must have just read the book and like had some impact on me. Maybe it will have some real phony title like Passing Through the Gates of Adulthood. I'm hoping I don't have any problems until then, and I hope I don't have any problems keeping this journal. Usually, when I'm having a hard time reading this. Okay. Usually, my writing has changed. Do you guys ever read, like, stuff from yours from, like, this is 30 years ago, okay? And, like, my writing is completely changed from then. Usually, when I keep a journal, I read over it later, and I can't believe what I have written, and I end up throwing it away. That's true. I cannot tell you how many journal entries I have ripped out and just thrown away. It's interesting, too, that back in the day when I was drinking and I would journal write, and I would wake up the next day, and it would be like chicken scratch, and I had no idea what it said, and I would just be like, oh, I can literally remember, like, cutting journal entries up, because some of the things that it said in there, if I could read them, were, like, so embarrassing. So anyway, Okay, I would read over it later and that couldn't believe what I wrote, and then I would end up throwing it away. I'm sure some people are writing, Dear Diary, I'm Sue Smith. I have 4, Sue Smith, I still use Sue Smith. I have 4 brothers and a dog named Rex. I really don't think that is necessary because after all, this is my journal. And if I didn't know about myself, then I really don't know who does. Anyway, if this gets published, that is an introduction, a note to the editor. My topic for today is address books. The reason I am picking address books is because I bought one yesterday at Farmore. I had totally forgotten about Farmore. You guys remember? It's like a CVS. Okay. It was only 59 cents and I needed can you imagine an address book costing 59 cents? Seriously? Where today? It was only 59 cents and I needed a new one anyway. It had pictures of country houses on the front where I imagined I would like to live. Anyway, the problem with address books is that you spend more time putting the info from your old book into your new one than you do actually use it. It seems the only time you spend more time putting the info from your old book into your new one than you do actually using it. It seems the only time I really use it is at Christmas is at Christmas. I can't, grammatical errors up the ass. When I get older and my address book is very thick, and after I die, my kids will have a fun time calling all of my old friends to ask them to please attend to my funeral. So it starts out that I am excited about getting a new book, but then I have to change all the names, which after years will only bring me frustration and my children grief. So maybe Hallmark should give me a rebate of 59 cents for all the trouble. Okay, so that was my very first journal entry in here. But then if you go to the second to the last journal entry, she must have given us an assignment for what my life will be like in 20 years, which is funny because my life, 20 years would be, so I graduated in 90, okay? So that would, and this was January 11th of 1990. So that would be 90, 2000, 2010, right? So now it's almost 30 years later. What will my life be like in 20 years? Okay, are you ready? In 20 years, my life will be so different from this hell I'm living. And in quotations, I have kind of like from Les Miserables. I have really thought about this so many times. I don't know what I will be like in 20 years. I hope I am successful, especially mentally. I hope I have met someone and am happy and maybe in love. I hope I am in control of my life and that I will be with the people I love. There is really nothing more I want. And then I put a peace sign. And it's interesting when I look at that, and I'm sure there's so many more things that I wanted at that time, right? But, when I think about that, and, I don't know how phony that writing was, or if I thought that, but to just look back on that and be like, I really have, if that's true of how I felt at that time, I have everything that I want in my life right now. I have everything that I ever wanted at 18 years, well, I was 17 years old at that time, 17 years old, so it's interesting. This part, I'm just going to tell you, when I read what the teacher wrote, will get me a little emotional, because when I was reading through it just a couple minutes ago, I remember this teacher, and she has since passed away, and she was somebody that never tolerated BS in her class. If somebody would say something to me, she would put an end to it. She was one of the only teachers that ever stood up for me. I had a lot of teachers that would hear the words that were being called and things like that, and when I say I was bullied, I was horrifically bullied, and she was one teacher that always stood up for me. And to read what she wrote at the end of this, I don't know why, it was just so heartfelt, and I think back on her, and she's up there somewhere, so I just want to say thank you. So the last entry is from Monday, January 15th, and it's dated finale. Well, it is sad to say that this is my last journal entry. I really have enjoyed writing this book, and I feel that it probably holds a lot of memories for me. Maybe it won't, and I just put somebody's name, made a derogatory statement at me. So on this last entry, I will talk about something that I feel is important and maybe something that will date this journal. I read in an article that the 80s were called the me era, and that hopefully the 90s would be the thee era, referring to helping other people. Well, I thought about this for a while, and I thought about all of the terrible things happening in the world. Will they ever stop? Probably not. I don't think it has to be a me era or a thee era. I think it can be both at the same time, because people can attain self-gratification by helping others. That is all that is really important. And I think that's so interesting that that's how I thought back then, I don't know, and I'm kind of sometimes I read these things back and notes from I have a whole box of notes from my friends, and I think, was it BS? Was it not BS? Do we ever know who we were at that time? So anyway, and then she wrote back to me and she said, Dear Peter, do keep writing. I have really enjoyed having you in your class and have enjoyed your creativity. I hope you have many splendid days, always. And then I had asked her to do a college application for me, a reference, and she said, I'll do your college applications as soon as I finish this semester's grades. Do keep your head up always, in spite of what people say to you. Let me know where you are down the road. Yell when you need me. Just say help. I hope your life is always good to you. Signed, Mrs. K. And I think back on that, and I think, you know, like, she got it. She understood what I was going through at that time, you know? And I think, like, and this is kind of a little bit of why I picked this meditation. You know, I think we really always need cheerleaders in our lives. We always need somebody in our corner, even if they can't fix it for us, that they can, you know, they can encourage us a little bit. And I received a message today, a voice message on Instagram. I'm going to shout this person out in a video later. But that was just so encouraging. And there was somebody that had found this channel through my drama channel. And it was the sweetest message in the entire world. And said that they really appreciated my video that I did outside yesterday, and they really needed to hear that meditation. And, you know, it happened for me to hear that message, like, right at the right time. Like, it was the cheerleading moment that I really needed, if that makes sense. And like I said yesterday, you know, there are periods of the day where I go through where I have a lot of self-doubt. And the foundation that was laid for me early on in life, I would like to think that I'm a much stronger person by what I have gone through, and I do believe that to be true. But there was also a foundation that was set up for me where I'm very wary of people, and my guard goes up very quickly. And that's one of the things that I have to work really, really hard on, is allowing new people in and allowing new friendships to grow, and not always allowing my guard to come up, because there are people out there that will love me. There are people out there that will love you. There are people out there that you haven't even met yet that have your best interest in mind, that when you meet them, they will be the most loyal friend you have ever met. I think back, you know, 22 years ago to the day that I met my best friend, and I had no clue that day when I walked into her kennel that, you know, she would be the greatest friend I ever had in my entire life. My heartstone, the person that's helped me, you know, through 22 years of my life, and I've been there for her as well. You have to sometimes be willing to allow people in and to help you. You know, sometimes the lesson isn't people will burn you, people will hurt you over and over and over again. That's the mantra of a victim. And I don't choose to be a victim today. I choose to learn from things that have happened to me. I choose to look at situations and say, this situation with this person didn't work out well. This romantic relationship didn't work out well. You know, but what can I learn from that situation? What is my part in it? And then get back on the horse and continue to ride and meet new people and have new experiences in life. And that is what is important. And if you need help, yell out. I think, you know, there's so much to be said in just that simple statement that my teacher said to me 30 years ago. You know, if you need help, there's always people out there that will help you. Just ask for it. I want to read this meditation today from The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. And once you get to the end of the year, it's interesting because a lot of the meditations, many of which we've read, she kind of starts, you know, like bringing them all together as learning experiences. So it's very much not just a meditation, you know, book, but it's a combination towards the end of all the things that we have learned. December 30th, laying the foundation. The groundwork has been laid. Do you not see that? Don't you understand that all you have gone through was for a purpose? There was a reason, a good reason, for the waiting, the struggle, the pain, and finally, the release. You have been prepared. The same way a builder must first tear down and dig out the old to make way for the new, your higher power has been cleaning out the foundation in your life. Have you ever watched a builder at construction? When he begins his work, it looks worse than before he began. What is old and decayed must be removed. What is insufficient or too weak to support the new structure must be removed, replaced, or reinforced. No builder who cares about his or her work would put a new surface over an insufficient support system. The foundation would give way. It would not last. If the finished product is to be what is desired, the work must be done thoroughly from the bottom up. As the work progresses, it often appears to be an upheaval. Often, it does not seem to make sense. It may appear to be wasted time and effort because we cannot see the final product yet. But it is so important that the foundation be laid properly if the fun work, the finishing touches, is to be all that we want it to be. This long, hard time in your life has been for laying the groundwork. It was not without purpose, although at times the purpose may not have been evident or apparent. Now the foundation has been laid, the structure is solid. Now it is time for the finishing touches, the completion. It is time to move the furniture in and enjoy the fruits of the labor. Congratulations. You have had the patience to endure the hard parts. You have trusted, surrendered, and allowed your higher power and the universe to heal and prepare you. Now you shall enjoy the good that has been planned. Now you shall see the purpose. Now it shall all come together and make sense. Enjoy. Today I will surrender to the laying of the foundation, the groundwork in my life. If it is time to enjoy the placement of the finishing touches, I will surrender to that and enjoy that too. I will remember to be grateful for a higher power that is a master builder and only has my best interest in mind, creating and constructing my life. I will be grateful for my higher power's care and attention to details in laying the foundation, even though I become impatient at times. I will stand in awe at the beauty of God's finished product. You know, it's interesting, as I was reading that, I was thinking back on the comment that I made in my journal entry about that specific person making a derogatory statement towards me. And what's interesting is I know that person today and am friendly with that person. And that's not the main bully that I've talked about in previous videos. But it's somebody that consistently gave me a hard time. And what's interesting is I know them today, and like I hadn't really thought about that in a while. And they're a very spiritual person today, you know. And I think about that, and I think about what I went through, you know, in high school. And then when I got sober and I did an inventory and I took a look at what my part was, and many things that had happened in my life, you know, and that taught me forgiveness of others. And that taught me that forgiveness is really about myself. It's not, you know, for the other person. It's freedom from the bondage that I have to these people that hurt me or, you know, delivered pain on me. And to also realize that maybe in some ways, if I put myself in their shoes, they were struggling a little bit too in a way that I don't really understand. And maybe I will never understand, and maybe I don't need to understand. You know, and then that allows me today, 30 years later, or 24 years later from getting sober, you know, to look at life and realize that forgiveness is really like a magical instrument in my life. It's part of my foundation. It's part of letting go of pain. It's part of letting go of the struggle of life. And it allows me to let new people in my life, new cheerleaders, new people that will have my back, new people that will love me and care about me. And I wish the same for you. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.